Feeling of dizziness, a stirring in the head. Figure of the latest state in which all brains seem to be engulfed in a whirlpool of terror.
Rising so high, gonna lose control. Beyond gravity, I'm feeling broken, girl. Rising so high, I'm about to lose control. Beyond reality, I'm feeling broken, girl. But I gotta do it, me, how it'll make me feel good. I gotta do it, me, until I get more than I should. Beyond gravity, I'm feeling broken, girl. Rising so high, I'm about to lose control. Beyond reality, I'm feeling broken, girl. But I gotta do it, me, how it'll make me feel good. I gotta do it, me, until I get more than I should.
The oath of the abyss is a swearing that you will take everything that happens as a direct communication of the divine with your soul. And only a person who's ready for that experience can actually take that oath.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining. Oh, let me add Rose back. Thank you for joining us here on my channel for the second episode of Bitches Brew. And today we have a full panel. We have a wonderful group of smart, intelligent, beautiful, lovely women for you to all enjoy this evening. We have the same group that we had last time. We've got Beth Martins, we've got Jennifer Santel, I hope I'm saying that right, Truth Seeker 69, Cami Nodell, Rose 777, and tonight we got Patricia Steer. Yay! So we got a full house, and well, let me just say that I had a very severe toothache this week. Some of you know, I thought I wasn't even going to be able to host a show for a little bit. I thought, man, am I even going to want to talk? Because it hurt so bad, and I couldn't even get into the dentist. I was calling the emergency dentist line on Friday night. But get this, Saturday morning, I received a package that I had ordered a few days earlier of DMSO. And this is my first time working with this stuff. And can I just tell you, it saved me. It saved me. It's why I'm here. It's why I can talk right now. That in combination with colloidal silver, I don't know if any of you have heard about this stuff, but oh my goodness.
I make that stuff.
It's the best. Mm-hmm. You make it?
I make it. Yeah, it's super simple, easy, and cheap to make.
Yeah, well, it was cheap to buy. Mm-hmm. It was like, I got these 2 big bottles of pure DMSO, and then you dilute them, and I'm like, as much as you dilute them and use it, I'm like, it's cheap.
I make the silver, just to clarify, but yeah.
Oh, the silver, but not the DMSO. But yeah, colloidal silver you can make yourself too.
There's a book called the DMSO Handbook. It's got a pretty little green frog on the cover. And for those who aren't familiar with it, I mean, of course, you can watch a YouTube video on it, right? No one needs books these days. But I'm an advocate for books. So the DMSO Handbook is good. I've got the book, and I just finally ordered DMSO liquid in a glass bottle. That's what you've got, right?
That's what I got.
I haven't used it yet. I just thought I want to have that just in case, because when those issues come, like you with your tooth, you don't want to have to be waiting to get something when you need it. I like to have a full arsenal, as all bitches / witches like to have.
That's right.
I have to put in here, I don't know what DMSO is, and so please share and tell us what we're talking about, the miracle, and what's been helping, and what everybody here seems to know so much about.
It's dimethyl sulfoxide. And I didn't even really know about it until I started, looking into all the alternative health care stuff that we do. And it started, the MMS thing became very popular. A lot of us started talking about it recently. And so and there's people that use that, and then you use it in conjunction with DMSO. Now, DMSO, what it does, it does something where it penetrates your skin, and it goes in and it blocks, it stops the nerves from transmitting the pain. It reduces inflammation. It fights infection. I mean,
it's made from wood pulp, actually. So it's a natural thing, I guess. I mean, if you're making paper, wood pulp is a side product, but yet it is made from wood, essentially. And people who have canker sores or tooth problems, it really does a multitude of things, but you have to dilute it with water. And sometimes you can get DMSO in a different form that looks like dried dust. And some DMSO has a real garlicky smell, taste, and you will smell. We all know garlic tastes great. And if you're around people who are eating garlic, their breath doesn't bother you. But if you run into somebody who has that garlic stench coming off of them, you don't like it. So sometimes DMSO can give a garlicky smell, but you can buy the no odor type if you want. That's what I bought.
I didn't know there was a no odor type. The kind I got does have the odor. It does have that. So I did initially, I diluted it with just some distilled water in a dropper, and I was putting it directly in my mouth, and I was like, oh, it tastes gross, right? But I was doing it because it was helping.
Right.
And I kept reading, and somebody was like, yeah, you can take raw, organic raw honey, and you put a few drops in that, and then you put it on your tooth, and then it kind of sticks there. And so I did that, and it actually worked much better. And nice. I didn't taste the nasty taste. It totally, something about the honey totally eliminates that garlic sulfur taste. So it's just honey. I don't know what it does, but it works great.
Yeah.
That's what I've been doing. And I can't even tell you.
I love honey.
What's wrong with your tooth from what you know? What's the problem?
Well, I bit down on something really hard, and I think my tooth is cracked.
Oh.
I thought I had
I did that.
and I think
Just a
it
thought.
cracked, right? But
I did
didn't
exactly
realize
that.
well, I think it started to get infected, and it started to get really painful. And so then that's when I started calling the dentist. I was like, okay, this is worse than I thought it was. But then I got that DMSO, and then I had been using the colloidal silver already for a few days. But then I got the DMSO, and it was like, once I got that, it was like, pff, pain gone, like inflammation gone, everything. I was like, wow, that stuff is amazing.
I mean,
Did you
I
use
have
it like a rinse, or did you swallow it, or how did you use it?
I just put it like I said, I diluted it with distilled water and I applied it directly to the area. And then because of the taste, I added honey. I just put pure DMSO right in the honey, and I just
Right.
mixed it up in a spoon, and then I just put it in my mouth.
Directly on it.
Yeah.
Like a paste. That's fabulous. You said it, but I was still trying to, you don't swallow it though. You just put it on as
Let
a,
it sort of dissolve, I let it sit there as long as I can. And
Yeah,
then
you can leave it overnight from what I've read. I haven't yet done it myself. I just received my bottle, I think, last week. There must be talk of DMSO out there in the truther world, because why did I just recently buy this book? Why did I become interested in it? Why did I just buy DMSO for the very first time? I've heard people talk about it, but I never went ahead and got it. I don't need it for anything, but for some reason, because of everything that's going on with you know what, and all the other things that are potentially going to happen in our world, I want to have natural remedies for things that are right at my fingertips, in my quote unquote medicine chest. So if there are situations where I need to help someone or help myself and I don't want to leave the house for whatever reason, or can't, who knows what the heck's going to happen next? Yeah, I think it's great that you've got that for your family too, Karen. I mean, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Turpentine is another one.
Sugar bites too. Like I mixed it with aloe vera gel. Because you can find all the recipes. It tells you, 1 ounce of this to 1 ounce DMSO to 3 ounces of aloe vera gel, and I mixed it all up. And then you just apply it topically, and it like makes the pain go away. It makes the itch go away like immediately, and it's completely safe to use.
We
Repeatedly.
need to make a bitches brew of the DMSO and cannabis oil and turpentine and colloidal silver. Like stir it up in a pot and serve it out.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah.
with your quote unquote corona.
Can you elaborate on? Can you elaborate a little bit more on the turpentine? Because that sounds like it would be not something that would be healthy. But it comes from trees
You
as
talk
well,
about it.
doesn't
I'll
it?
get my bottle to do a little display while you're talking about it.
The pine turpentine is made from pine trees. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I don't know much about it.
I can talk about it. It's oil of pine, and they make it. I believe it's diamond something or other. I'm happy to share a link later. It has to be food grade, of course. You can't just buy it from the hardware store, but you can take it, and there's great videos out there teaching you how to. You need to start with a drop and 2 drops, and you can work your way up to a teaspoon. But it's an instant cure for practically anything. And just like Patricia was saying, if I could only have one thing in the cupboard when the apocalypse completely knocks us out, that would be it.
Comes in a glass bottle too. There's different kinds you can get. You can get them on Amazon, and you have to make sure to get the one that isn't the paint thinner. People always say paint thinner. I remember back in maybe 2015, 2016, when I had my old channel, I had people on the show and we had like a panel like this discussing it. And that was back in the time when there were lots of attacks going out at anybody from fellow truth movement people. If you decided you wanted to talk about something like turpentine, or drinking bleach, if you wanted to talk about hydrogen peroxide at a higher concentration. And so, man, I used to get slammed for these thoughts and ideas, or, colloidal silver, you'll turn blue. But somehow those hater people have disappeared now. I don't know what happened to them. Their channels used to be solely devoted to only one thing, attacking other truthers. They're gone now. So, remember, Karen, when you were on my show and you talked about Bigfoot and it was like full frontal attack. Now those people, the attacker people, are gone.
Are they?
Yeah, I think they are.
We'll get nasty comments.
Well, comments, yes, but there was several key channels that devoted themselves to attacking. That's all they did.
Yeah. Although we did get an interesting response after the first Bitches Brew.
Oh,
like they had how I had the thumbnail with the cauldron. I mean, obviously come on. Obviously, do you think maybe it might be possible we're kind of poking fun at the fact that you guys call us witches all the time? You know, it's like they're like, look at this thumbnail. They're all witches. Rose
Right.
did a show with tarot cards. They're all evil.
The same thing as when I wore a Halloween costume from Party City that cost like $30 to do a Halloween show for fun on one of my, my old channel, just a truth sort of thing. And people were going, that's it right there. You can tell she's evil because I dressed as Maleficent. It's a
I remember.
Party City costume that like anybody can buy. Now, maybe you don't think it's right to dress up for All Hallows Eve. It's paganism. That's cool. That's probably all. It's actually all true. But I was doing it to kind of poke fun at the overly sensitized people out there who can't understand that it doesn't mean I practice Wicca because I'm wearing a costume. People who practice Wicca wear jeans and t-shirts, or what, they're not wearing Party City costumes, or they're not putting a cauldron on the thumbnail of their video. They're doing whatever they're really practicing Wicca, like somewhere in the forest somewhere. And I guess some of them are doing it for good reasons, like trying to help people. I don't know much about it, and then some are doing it for bad reasons, but they're definitely not cartoon-like wearing a costume or cartoon-like putting a cauldron and calling a show Bitches Brew. That's just, but then they would say, hidden in plain sight, Karen.
Right, I know.
Can't win.
I know. I don't care. Because
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because you can watch the first show and you can look at what we talked about and you can see that we weren't, we don't talk about that stuff. And you know what's funny is even the people who make the videos, they're like, I don't follow any of these women. I don't, it's like, well, if you don't follow us and you didn't watch the show, then how do you even know what we were talking about and that we're witches? And they try to quote the Bible and all that stuff. And, and I've been on a whole tangent about that. But I mean, if you look into what the Bible says, it's about predicting the future. None of us are trying to predict the future. None of us are trying to con people by romancing them with fortune telling and predicting the future. That doesn't happen here. It doesn't happen on anybody's channel. Yeah. So shut your freaking hole. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what's happening right now.
I think that sometimes people forget that it's okay to have a sense of humor and to have a little bit of fun along the way. And in fact, if you think about what you're really trying to achieve with religion, or again, vibrating, being a better person, being good, being happy, there is no higher vibration than laughter and no better goodness than laughter. And there's probably no lower, even straight from the Bible, lower vibration than gossiping and overly worrying about what people are doing. So I think people just need to lighten up and enjoy the journey a little bit. It's not all lighting candles is not all evil.
Exactly. And I think a lot of the men who've made those sorts of nasty videos about women basically can't get a woman. And so they'll just find women and attack them online. Sorry to say.
I had one make a video about me saying that I was a thought.
Oh, well.
And I'm not even going to say who made it because it's so stupid, but that I was a thought. And that the only reason that I was spending my time in Flat Earth is because, I couldn't find a man who
I've heard that too. Oh. Meanwhile, you have a man.
Right? Meanwhile, there's like a man right over there. Okay. Whatever. They don't know. Okay, I'm gonna try to call Rose in, you guys. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can get her in here through voice call messenger.
Or you could use tarot cards.
Right. Do you guys hear the ringing?
I do.
Okay. Rose.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can the ladies hear Rose?
We can hear Rose. Can the audience hear Rose?
Can everybody hear Rose? Rose, start talking and see if everybody can hear you.
Hello. This is Rose. I'm here.
But we can't hear you.
No, you're not gonna be able to see her because she's just on voice. She's on Messenger because she doesn't have internet. So she's got poor connection. So she just has to be on voice.
But Jason just got back from New Orleans with a new modem. Jason, I'm on Messenger because there wasn't enough bandwidth.
I'm going to give it a shot. Let's see.
All right, well, we'll know in a minute if that's better. But I can't
Get to
hear
work,
anybody.
Jason.
I can't hear anybody, so I'll just
Hey.
talk to the chat for now.
Okay.
All right, bye.
Okay, I guess she can't hear you guys. That sucks.
But she was here before. What happened?
Well, she's only through cell connection because their internet went out and
Oh.
it's not working.
Is there something going on in New Orleans weather-wise, or I didn't look? Like,
I think it's because they moved, and I think they're in the middle of a move and setting up in that.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That will do it every time. I know that, like, we haven't even moved yet, but just even staging the house and that I couldn't find my phone chargers the other day and had no phone for how many hours, and that we haven't even moved yet. But yeah,
Moving in general is a great thing because you get to see all your possessions again and reevaluate as to whether or not you want to keep them, if they are serving you or you're serving them. But also, what a nightmare, what a hassle. I've stayed in a place a whole extra year that I didn't even like the place in order to avoid moving because it's just so bad.
I think I stayed in the house a whole year just to get stuff ready to
Right.
do this. I know that we've had other circumstances.
You had to do painting,
and the
carpeting,
and carpeting, and yeah. It's what happens when you stay in a house for 20 years. You don't go through. I think Caroline, you guys remember her, Caroline, Effie, Arizona. Her thing is never ever stay in a house longer than 2 years because that just forces you. Otherwise, it's too hard to move. You get too many things and that. But it's on the other side. It's really nice to have a house that you've raised your family in, and born and grown up, and so there's good and bad.
You know what? I spent probably most of my 20s moving literally every 2 years or every year. And I didn't like it. I hated it. I like staying someplace a long time. I would prefer to have a solid home base, but that's probably the Taurus in me. I don't know. I prefer to have that foundation, like a tree. Like, I don't know, just like,
oh, it's so important.
I can't
get it.
But I just prefer that. I prefer it like that sacred space.
Yes.
And I don't like it to move. It's traumatic to me. I admit it. It is. I think everybody's different though. Some people like to be nomadic. Some people prefer that.
Depends how much stuff you have that you want to cart along with you. When I was much younger and didn't have much, I didn't mind moving. I worked in radio and I'd go to one city and live, and then somehow the station would change format to, Eastern European polka 24 hours a day. And then everyone who was working at a rock station would get fired and I'd have to get a job somewhere else. And it didn't really bother me. I could get a U-Haul and tow my car on the back, but now I have too much stuff that I'm not married to my stuff, but yet, at a certain age, you just want to have a home, and a home is something where you've got plenty of space to have your turpentine, your DMSO, your canning supplies.
I was just to get back to the turpentine talk because I love this alternative natural healing talk, especially with Jen with her migraine. She's taking ibuprofen, which works for her, but I mean, ibuprofen, there's other things that people can do. Well, I mean, I don't know because I can't really speak for that because I don't get migraines. But when I was looking at the DMSO stuff, it did have a whole section on using it to treat migraines.
Let's hear about the migraine. When I was younger, when I used to get my period, I would get bad migraines. I would get them once a month and they would be on the left side of my face and they'd be almost like inside my eye, always same. And now that I don't get my period anymore, I still get them, but not as horrendous as I used to. I would have to actually 3 days just be in a dark room feeling ill. So are your migraines that kind of migraine, Jen?
Well, I can feel them coming on and they'll get progressively worse if I don't handle it right away. So it's best for me to be able to get a handle on. And if it happens like in my temple area, it actually hurts to touch my forehead when it's happening. So basically the ibuprofen doesn't always work, but it worked today. If I have to have a dark room. Usually for me, it's a really hot rag that works. A lot of people say it's a cold rag that works for them, but I have to have it extremely hot. And if I don't get a handle on this thing, it could go on hours and I'll wind up getting sick. And it's just, it's like having a really bad toothache in your brain. You just can't function. Can't focus on anything. It's just there and it takes over. But I did start them when I had a period, and I used to get my period really bad. So I would have really bad cramping and migraines, and I don't get the period anymore either. Whoop, whoop. But I still get migraines, and I get really, really bad hot flashes.
Wow. Yeah.
Hot flashes suck. And
They really do.
I had my blood pressure taken right after a hot flash, on the tail end of the hot flash. And they told me I was in stroke.
Wow.
And that's at the tail end of the hot flash. That wasn't even full on hot flash. I get extreme ones. So I'm like, great. Every time I go to flash, which is like 10 times a day, I'm on here, you know, and you hear women who, after their periods, are more subject to stroke of estrogen anymore because their levels are all up and down. And that's one of the reasons why you have hot flashes, is because of that imbalance in your hormones and stuff, that your body's still trying to work that out, which, by the way, I don't take estrogen. So I'm really just riding this thing through naturally as much as I can. I haven't had my period in like 3 years. I should be totally over this whole thing, but I'm still hot flashing really bad. I haven't slept all night in years because I have hot flashes through the night. And, you know, you wake up, you're soaked.
What have you
You know,
tried?
it's not a fun experience.
Anything for the hot flashes, Jen? Have you tried stuff that hasn't worked, or has anything helped?
I tried everything.
Have you tried Vitex?
The only thing that people told me that will help me is if I get estrogen. And I really don't want to go to the doctor and get estrogen or nothing like that. I tried estrogen supplements. They didn't work for me.
No.
Have you tried Vitex, Jen?
So I have to cut the caffeine, you know, do little things here and there.
What is Vitex? I've never heard of it.
I believe it's chessberry, if I'm getting that right, but it's also under the name Vitex, and it works like an absolute charm for me. Although I had to up it. There's a second supplement. I'll share it with you, Jen, if you're interested, because as long as I take them religiously, I don't suffer nearly so bad. But I've suffered, like, actually since I was 30 and I'd done all that chemotherapy, I started hot flashing then. So 20 years I've been hot flashing.
Wow.
But as long as I'm on these supplements, I'm okay.
Hot flashes are crazy.
They really are.
They're so crazy. And
Very
I'm
intense.
on the extreme. I don't get like a little hot. I'm like, I am on fire, and it's coming from the inside of my body out, and it's not a fever. I mean, like, I'd be out and walking my dogs, it'd be 20 degrees out, and I could feel the heat bellowing out from my chest, from my underneath my coat and stuff. And I have no problem walking outside. It could be 0 degrees out, and I'd be like totally fine if I'm in the middle of a hot flash. As a matter of fact, I don't even have to work out anymore. I just sit here and sweat. That's it.
I never had them that bad. So
That's awesome.
I had them, and they would come at about 10 or 11, depending upon daylight savings time or not. Exactly. I remember I had a boyfriend at the time, and I'd be watching TV or whatever we were doing, watching a movie, doing something, and I'd be like, "Is it 10 o'clock?" And he'd say, "Yep," and I'd be like, "This flat," and it would be only one, but it would last for about a half hour, and that's all I had. I didn't take any, and I didn't take any estrogen or anything, but my periods themselves
The
through my
worst thing
entire life were light. So
It's
maybe
having an extreme hot flash.
some
You have a hot flash, like a
comments.
really bad hot flash in the middle of having sex. It's really bad.
I don't know.
There's some good
Oh,
comments
God.
people left. Black cohash
Yeah.
and something else.
Black
So-
cohash, perhaps for there, they said tiger balm on the head for a headache,
Oh,
which
look,
is fabulous.
I tried
There's
the
also,
cohash.
whoops,
A lady told me about it at work.
Yeah, red raspberry.
right?
Yeah, my ex-boyfriend,
black Such
She's
a
gonna say-
pain. My God. Lady told me to try it.
So yeah, the other things that work really well.
She told me to try
I've
this
done
black
the-
cohash stuff, right? I was really bad at work.
Do you? Yeah, I don't know if
Have
I'm
you
live or
tried
not.
black
Go ahead.
cohash?
We must have a delay. You finish what you're saying.
Okay, I was gonna say too. I also do things completely naturally like this,
It
and I
did
find,
not work for me.
I find on the migraines and the hot flashes that just an ice pack's the most natural thing in the world. A dark room, ice packs, and lemon juice, and a little bit of Himalayan or Hawaiian salt. Also, doing a little shot of that seems to help a lot. but I try not to do ibuprofen. I try not to do anything that's not natural. And I find that the natural remedies and the simple ice pack seems to work better than just, again, any of the pharmaceuticals and that. You don't have the rebound, it's just cleaner, nicer. And the hot flashes, again, Jen, simple ice packs. I had a little fridge in my room, and I do little ice packs. You put some by your feet, some under your neck, your head, and it really can help at night.
There's this thing that I recently found just browsing around in the internet, and it's somehow tied to Nikola Tesla, and they're called Nikola Tesla's purple energy plates, and they sound like a total scam. But I bought some because I want to see. And you can look up a book that they sell on Amazon, which I still haven't received yet. And I don't have the energy plates yet either, called The Miracle of Nikola Tesla's Purple Energy Plates. And they're made by a company called E as in elephant, EIP. And they're these metal plates. I'm going to show you a picture of one because I don't have it yet. It just looks like that. And it's going to be like 5 by 6 inches. I think it even says when I bought mine, June 11th, hasn't come yet. And it's a thin metal plate. I mean, it would just be like a little pad of sticky notes probably. And you're supposed to either throw it in the garbage because you wasted your money, or it's supposed to relieve pain. So I thought, what a great thing to try. And it's using some sort of Tesla, something he thought of to energize these plates. Now, probably it's just some, people scamming who just sell these aluminum plates that have absolutely nothing to them, or maybe you believing that they work will make them work to relieve pain and make you feel better. If you've got a sore back, you put it on your back. If you've got a headache, if you're having period problems, if you are working out and you pulled a muscle, you just lay this thing on you. And they also make it as a little, like a quarter-sized, I just did the okay symbol, a quarter-sized disc that you can put on a cord or a chain or something and wear around your neck to help your body. So anyway, I bought it because I wanted it, because I like trying. So
can you guys see this at all?
Does it say what metal the plates are? Like, what are they made of?
Well, it's very vague. I tried watching some videos about it, but it was just some people. They are naturally grounding. So it's all about grounding. Okay.
Okay.
They call them purple plates. They're only purple, and they attract paramagnetism. They're invented by, I'm reading this off my phone, Ralph Berger-Stresser, who worked with Tesla, and they're made in Arizona. And only the ones that I bought this one too. This is the one that's like a little quarter-sized. I blew it up so you could look, like a dog tag almost. But you can see that there's something on it that's engraved that says EIP, because some people try to sell these things that are fake, whatever. I don't know if these are just metal, but I want to see if they do something. I mean, why would I laugh at this? I mean, I'm joking and saying they're probably fake now, but why could it not work? Why could not Coral Castle be giant rocks that were levitated by magnetism or by the power of will, or how were the pyramids created? Who's to say that this metal plate wouldn't do something? And it's not going to hurt me to use it. Like, if I had pain, I'd rather try that first than taking aspirin or something.
Well, I actually think that to me it makes sense, because to me it would be like, it might be somehow, if it's electrical, maybe somehow it's bypassing that electrical signal, or making that electrical signal that is transmitting the sensation of pain. Maybe something about that plate makes that signal get drawn to the plate instead of to your nerves.
Yeah, it says it can relieve your pain or quiet your pain. And it's like it's suppressing or dampening the pain signal, and I guess we're electric.
We are electrical beings, and so it's going to work that way.
I'm going to try it. I'm excited to receive it. I'm going to get the one and wear it around my neck. I mean, not like all the time, because it doesn't go with some of my outfits. But maybe when I'm home by myself wearing like leisure lounge clothes. Sure, I'm going to wear that. And the other one I bought, I'm just going to maybe put it under my pillow or like put it on a sore knee or anything, that I might have that happens, and just experiment with it. And when I get the book, I'll be able to read more. But there are videos about these Tesla purple plates on YouTube, but they're generally they're by people who are just saying, oh yeah, they're great. They're not testimonials to make you buy it. They're random people unassociated with the product. But that doesn't really tell me what I want to know, and what anybody watching this would want to know. What the hell are they and how do they work? But I guess that's up to me to find out myself.
I'll tell you what it reminds me of. And there's this form of tattooing, and unless you're into tattoos, you're not going to know about this. But
quantum dot tattoo?
No.
Joking.
But like the old school, like Maori tattoos, like Effie Maori, he'll know. Like, those tribal tattoos where they have them like their full body pieces, and they don't use a traditional machine. They use the tap. Right. There's, this thing where they're doing it by hand. It's that's like what the original tattoo name is from, that tap, 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 that tat-tau. Right. So they do it the old way where they just take a stick and they're tapping the needle in. Anyway, it's supposed to be a very painful way to get tattooed. And so what they do when they're doing these full body pieces is like other Maori men will come in while they're performing these tattoos, and they'll put their hands on the dude who's getting tattooed, and it helps them get through it. It relieves their pain, right? Because you have these other people putting their hands on you, and then those people are grounded to the ground, because it's all tribal, natural. Yeah, see, he knows. He's already commenting in the chat. But so that's what they do. Other people will come in, they'll put their hands on him, and what it does is it relieves their pain. It helps them get through the process. So what I'm thinking is what those plates are supposed to do is sort of mimic that.
That makes complete sense. I'm excited to receive them, and I guess once I do, maybe I don't want to do a show in them, because then I'm just going to sound like one of those people like, buy now for $19.99. I mean, you don't sell them, but yet, maybe if I ever do another group show with you ladies, that's a good idea. Then I'll show and tell you that these things are ridiculously useless. I'm using it for a coaster now.
Yeah.
Or
let's go. What about the turpentine? What is the turpentine? I know we sort of started talking about that and we got away from it, but I'm going to go back to it. The turpentine, because I've heard that it can help you get rid of parasites. It's like it can cleanse your system out and that sort of thing. So is that what it's for? Does it do more than that? Because I don't really know a lot about turpentine.
Pour it over sugar cubes and then eat the sugar cubes. That's one way, and those go into the body, and the parasites will attack it and then die because of the turpentine. That's the theory behind it. But the thing is that I don't, as far as I know, have parasites. I just want to have this in case, I'm that person. I'm that person who's got lots of
Patricia,
stuff interesting to me. And maybe we all have parasites.
You do have parasites.
Right, exactly.
We all have parasites.
I mean,
I'm going to be the one that stood up. It's like, honey, you do. We all have
maybe
parasites.
I should have said it like this. I don't have parasite problems that I'm suffering from. Yeah. That's what I mean.
Right.
I don't have visible worms.
You have your
parasites are
under control.
All my parasites all my parasites belong to me, like all my base. Yeah, all my parasites are working on my team at this point. But if they ever get out of line, guess what, buddy?
It's antiviral, antibacterial, anti-candida. That's the reason you do it with sugar.
Candida.
Sugar.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it pulls the yeast up and out of your body, and the turpentine gets it. That's why you combine the sugar and the.
I've done it before. When I don't know if anybody knows the story of why I moved to the UK. We won't get into the story, but I moved to the UK and I was there for 2.5 months. And while I was there, I brought, for the person that I was going to live there with, he wanted turpentine because he couldn't get it in his home country. So I smuggled in the airport. You're not allowed to bring it in the plane, but I wrapped them up in socks and glass bottles. And I got through fine through security and arrived and brought all this turpentine. And we did the turpentine a couple of times, and or terps as they call it, not for any reason that we felt like we had any problems, but we wanted to experiment and see what happened and how it made us feel. I thought it was fun to do it with somebody else. Not that it gives you any sort of like a drug high, but just the experiment of two people who are close, trying some new thing and seeing, how do you feel? How do I feel? But we both didn't really feel anything at all and notice any changes. So I think it would be good if you had the issues, but same as borax. I've never done borax. Anybody here try borax as a cleanse? It's like the borax washing powder.
Yeah, as a laundry soap. Yeah.
That's
I've used it as laundry soap, but I've also taken it. To me, it was like it didn't do anything.
Yeah, that's how I felt about the turpentine, but I'm willing to keep it and use it if I need it. So.
And so, what was the other thing that you were going to show, Beth? Did you have something else there that you take that you?
Just anyone who's suffering with these damn hot flashes, and if Vitex isn't working, can you see it's Female Balance at the brand of it? Oh, try to hold it straight and in the camera. Yeah, it's Pure Trim. It's one of those crazy brands you don't want it to work, but it does. And if I'm off of that for like 48 hours, Female Balance. Yeah, I'll send you a good photograph of it, or anybody who wants. And as long as I stay on it, if I'm off for 2 days, all of a sudden I start having these really nasty, and it's the same as Jen, like up all night, or every hour or so having hot flash and waking up. But as long as I stay on this stuff religiously, I've been sleeping through the night, no problem. It's a miracle.
The things men don't have to deal with.
I don't even know what it's like to sleep through the night. It's been so long.
I also didn't. Yeah, an entire decade with insomnia, and partly due to the hot flashes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Back when I used to get them, I went and
I fell asleep standing up in front of a fan.
I
was leaning over my bed in front of the fan, and I fell asleep standing up, and I almost fell over. My husband's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm having a hot flash." Then you got to get back in bed, and everything's wet. So I always would have to have an extra sheet down, an extra pillowcase, and then you do all that, you're wide awake, and then you got to try to fall back to sleep again. And by the time you get back to sleep, well, there's another hot flash. It's just, it's like,
Lord.
When I was going through it, I bought special sheets and a duvet cover that were for that purpose, and used them throughout that period of time, which was, I don't know, 2010, 2011 or whatever. But I don't have any of that anymore. But I was wondering, okay, without boring all the men who don't care about any of these things, I had very light periods all through my childhood, and when it first started through adulthood. So my hot flashes or my menopause was like nothing. I didn't have to take anything. I didn't have any issues. I had a hot flash like half hour every night around 10 or 11 o'clock. No big deal. It was uncomfortable because I'd be maybe in bed and sweating in bed, but no problems. So I was wondering if your hot flashes correspond to a heavier menstrual cycle when you were younger.
I think it's toxicity. I noticed
maybe mine was heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Just a theory. I mean, I always try to figure out like why I didn't have it that bad, but
I also didn't. My periods weren't difficult, but I do notice a direct relationship to caffeine, nicotine, any kind of adrenal stress. And a good friend calls them resistance flashes. So anytime I get really stressed out, I will hot flash.
Oh, wow.
And soak through my clothes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think they're tied with the adrenals as well.
I get to the point where I can't even breathe right. I'll be like panting like a dog. I can't. My blood pressure must spike up so high when I get these hot flashes. And I'm like stop what I'm doing and just let this thing ride its course and then get over it and continue on with whatever I was doing. I almost passed out at work one time having one of these things. But yes, the caffeine is a major factor. This is my first cup of coffee all day, and it's 8 o'clock at night here my time, and it'll be the only cup I have. I love coffee, but I had to cut that back. But I still get the hot flash. So I've done many experiments over the last couple of years with, does this work? Maybe I should cut this back. They come either way, but when they don't come, like yesterday, I got through most of the whole day without having a hot flash. I was like, oh my God, I haven't had a hot flash all day. But yeah, and then it'll just go right back to
diary.
I love garlic. I like spicy food. What's that?
Maybe keep a food diary. sounds boring and really like hard to keep up with. But if you keep a food diary and then if you take a medication that day, then you can look back and see like all those days I ate grapefruit, I didn't have a hot flash. I mean, I'm just making that up, but maybe you'll be able to find a pattern because they sound so bad. That would be one way to try to figure it out. Maybe.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting what's going on with my body for sure. I'm just so grateful that I don't have my period anymore, though. That was the worst time of my life was, going through high school with my period and stuff. I would spend like the whole day in the nurse's office curled up in a ball and be absent anymore from school because you're only allowed to be absent so many days. And, being absent once a month, every month, a couple of days here and there and stuff, it adds up. I almost didn't graduate high school because I had missed so much time. I had to make up time after school to get the graduate and stuff. It's crazy.
Actually, now that you say that, I do remember there being a couple of girls at my school that had periods that were that bad.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that too. Mm-hmm. I just thought they were faking because at that point in my life, I was so young. I thought, well, I don't have a problem. It must be lying. So that's kind of a selfish attitude. But when you're 13, what do you expect?
Yeah, you don't really know any better. You think it's the same for everybody.
Right.
Yeah, you realize it's not.
They just don't want to participate in gym class. That's why they're sitting over there like that. And that was obviously not the case.
Yeah. And I had really bad mood swings. The moodiness and stuff was always really bad. I'd cry at the drop of a hat. All the emotions were like tweaked out during that time, like super bad.
I didn't have that. I didn't have cravings for chocolate. I remember taking
Motrin.
My periods were very boring. So was my
love chocolate.
Oh well.
Kit Kat was my go-to bar during the period time. Kit Kat.
Yeah. So that's another thing I wanted to talk about with you ladies is I wanted to ask you all what you do for self-care. What do you do like if you're like, I can't take it anymore. I'm stressed out. Everybody get the hell away from me. What do you do when you need to de-stress or, let that energy out? What is it that you do to fill your well? You know what I mean? Because as women, we're always giving, nurturing. That's like what we do. And even if you don't have children, like I'm not trying to single Patricia out, but it's like you still express that in another way, right? You're still like, that's just what women do. Even if it doesn't matter, it could be to your family, to your friends, to your pets, whatever, so, and I feel like, as women, that's like more of a tendency for a woman thing to do is to give and then not take the time to, like I say, fill your own well. So do you guys do anything like that? What is it that you do, that sort of helps you kind of realign? Know what I mean? Anybody can go. Who wants to go first? Beth, go ahead.
And so I'm a cancer survivor. At 29, I was diagnosed with a stage 4 lymphoma, and I had a great big crash course in self-care as a result of it. And, after the past 20 years and filtering through literally not hundreds, but, a lot of different modalities, I, got into meditation. I went to India 8 times, did a lot of mantra, all that kind of thing. And the two things that have really stuck with me, first of all, today I managed to get myself outside and I realized how long it had been since I'd gone and just put my bare feet on the earth and breathed and did yoga and stretched and looked at the river. And I was just like, wow, this is so nice. Why am I so plugged in right now? Just because the pace of everything is so intense. But there's also one other thing that goes along with the archetype work that I do, and it's just called releasing. It's very not mystical. In fact, most mystical people don't like it because it's just so simple and so to the point. And it's about, and I did this on my walk the entire way, literally just allowing feelings to come up and looking for the program that operates underneath them. There's some core programs, very unconscious, that sit underneath all of our human experiences. And if you can learn to identify them, and it's just like a computer, actually, it works surprisingly well and quickly, always way faster even than I would think it would. And you just tell your system, like, yes, you can let go of that program. I don't need to, want safety right now is one of the programs. I don't need to want control. I don't need to want love and approval. Those are all just unconscious things that we do without thinking about it, and we're severely programmed to. So you can very quickly, I find, get my energy back and completely change my state of mind and my circumstances. That's a really neat thing about it, that not only do I feel better, but I can change the things that are happening around me. So those are my two go-to.
You have a really beautiful sounding voice, by the way. I mean, Karen obviously has a beautiful sounding voice, but I really like the sound of your voice. And are you from somewhere like Minnesota or the Midwest?
Pretty close. Yeah. Winnipeg, Manitoba. And thank you very much.
I didn't know. I can hear like the word about. I could hear it in there. I grew up in Michigan, and there's some of that maybe in my family. I don't think I have it as much. That I guess it would be called an accent, but the word about, I can't do it. But the total quality of your voice is very nice and resonant. So
thank you. I like yours as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. So who wants to go next? What do you do to relax yourself? Jen?
I'll go next. So I drink a lot of distilled water. I just want to put that out there, guys. I love distilled water. I've been drinking it for over 10 years. And it is literally like a fountain of youth for your body. So that's a daily thing for me. But when stress levels get high, I love to go out and go like walk through my woods, or jump in the car and get away from, say, the house for a little while and go. There's a lot of roads where there's horses and stuff on land, and all kinds of stuff. But even if I park next to a field of cows, I'll get out and just hang out there for a little bit. I love getting back to nature. That really, really helps me a lot. Even if it's just going right out back my house and just, sitting by the fire pit for a little while and just staring up at the trees and realizing that, whatever's going on, there's more to be grateful for. I try to get myself into that attitude of gratitude instead of letting myself sink into, even if it's a health issue. Like, I could be like, oh, why am I having these fucking hot flashes every day? My life sucks, all this stuff, but that's not going to do me any good. So it's definitely, not giving your power away to things that maybe you need control over. I used to do that a lot, and that's detrimental to my health as well, my mental health, my physical, because when you in your brain, you have disease through your body. It manifests through your body. Ease you're feeling in your life. So that's important for people to remember, especially like say being a cancer survivor and stuff like that. One of the main things is, and I'm not a cancer survivor, but I've read this, is that a lot of people who have it and are getting through it and stuff, laughter and positivity and all this, good vibration feeling instead of that sinking feeling of you have a death sentence now or something. So definitely keeping yourself balanced with your thoughts and not feeding too much into whatever it is that's stressing you out. And especially if you have no control over it, you can't do nothing about it. Don't stress it. Just, it's going to work itself out somehow.
Exactly. That's a hard lesson. I had what is that really famous saying that says, please give me the what is it? The courage to stand up for, I can't remember.
The Serenity poem.
Yeah, God grant me
you know serenity. What I'm talking about? But it says something about, oh God, I can't remember what it is.
Yeah,
God knowing what you can control and giving up.
Yeah, like not worrying about the things you can't control and only worrying about the things you can, and then the wisdom to know the difference. That was it, right? Something like that.
That's it. You've got it, Karen.
That's a hard lesson to learn for sure.
It is, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
That's it.
That's it. The wisdom to know the difference.
Mm-hmm. So true.
Mm-hmm. Long time for me.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Cami and Patricia, who wants to go next? What do you
Let's
do?
have Cami, because mine, I mean, I'll say mine right now. I don't really do anything, being the fact that I'm single and I, live alone. I don't have children. I have 3 cats. I do deal with stressful situations like we all do, like traffic, or, somebody's supposed to arrive to do something, fix something in my house, and they don't show up. But I just tell myself everything's fine. Everything will be great. And I actually, when I wake up in the morning, tell myself I love myself every morning. And I hug myself and kiss my arm. Yeah, this is what I do. Good
Love
morning,
it.
Patty. I love you. And I know that sounds crazy.
It does, but you know what? It's probably really.
And I don't go by Patty. Patty's what my parents used to call me when I was a little girl. So it's me just, it sounds crazy, but I do it. Not because I think I love myself in some weird, creepy way. It's because I'm on this ride, because this is a ride after all, with myself. I'm the one who laughs at my own jokes. I'm dealing with whatever I'm dealing with in my own head, essentially alone. And I have to love this human form I happen to be in at this point and treat it as best I can. And that would be physically and mentally. And one of the things that is really good is positive self-talk. So I've been doing that for a super long time. And at night before I go to bed, till I fall asleep, I just list up the things I'm grateful for. Some might call that praying. So I wake up and tell myself I love myself and kiss my arm and hug myself. Before I go to bed, I kind of make a mental list of the things I'm grateful for. So that's, not that great self-care really, but I don't have that much of stress in my life. But Cammie's got, a husband, a young, a teenage genius son, potentially moving somewhere else, working on all the, magical science stuff you do, the Glowbuster stuff. You probably have like quite a lot of stress. How do you deal with it?
2 words: hot water. You can say outside the hot tub. You get to go outside. You get to watch the stars at night and the moon and contemplate the phases. During the day, you can still splash around in it, turn the temperature down. Before bed, candles in a hot tub, like in a nice bathroom, just to undo it, a little bit of bubble bath, a little bit of candlelight, a nice drink. Indoors, outdoors, you can't go wrong. I go out and I play with the rocks. I play with the plants, and I play with the dogs and the animals when I stress. I just let go of everything material and hold on to what's important to me. Even though rocks, you're like, that's material. And it's like, no, I'm looking at the beauty and how they grow. I'm looking at the plants and how they grow. It's not, it's a different, I just put myself into that mindset of take it away. And sometimes I even visualize when it's really tight. You'll like this, Beth. I visualize all of these people pulling at me, wanting things. And it's a physical, like pinching, like pulling strings and yarns out. I sometimes close my eyes and I put a pair of scissors in my hands and I cut the strings. And it's like, you know what? I'm cutting all of this stuff. Nobody needs me. Nobody wants me. Nobody, and anything that's real important will reattach itself. It's going to come back. It doesn't matter if I like cut it, forget about it, because the hook's going to come back if it needs to be there.
That's deep, that cutting the strings and then if it's going to come back. That's really deep.
I love
That's
that.
actually a great thing to do. Actually, that's very similar to the meditation techniques from the Monroe Institute, where they have the depository box at the beginning of the meditation. And you take all of those problems, everything that you're thinking about, everything you're stressing out, and they tell you to put it in that box and then put the top on the box and close it and forget about it beforehand. And that's sort of the same thing that you're doing, but you're just, instead of that, you're taking the scissors and you're visually cutting the top.
It's like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is a visual. I see those scissors, Patricia, and I mean, I hear the clicking, and it's like, let go, let go, quit. I don't want to be it anymore. Not today. So, and I think everybody has had that feeling like, nope, not me. I'm not it. I'm not the girl you're looking for.
I think that's a great way to deal with stuff, and I think that it's the way that you say that, and it's that shows how adaptable something like that is. Like however it works in your mind, whatever visualization resonates with you, that's going to be a more powerful tool for your consciousness to use to start manipulating that energy, right? I mean, that's how I would see it. Whatever works for you, because there's no cookie cutter thing. There's no one size fits all for anything. Right.
No.
So it's like whatever works for you, go with it.
It's not a right or a wrong. Though I do think that floating in hot water and looking at the stars, especially if it, on a cool evening with your husband, I don't think that can be wrong. I really don't.
No.
And
Nature never fails.
if all else fails, get on the back of the motorcycle and go really fast. So.
Well, actually, I mean, my way of relaxing and stuff is very similar to you, Cammy. I mean, I get in my tub with copious amounts of Epsom salts.
Exactly. Oh God, and I went through 2 bags of them at your house.
And I got the windows down, and I sit there and I look and I can see the moon. My bathroom's position I just happen to get lucky and put it in a way where I can watch the moon rise. I can watch the stars. Whatever from these windows, and that's what I do. Or I go outside like you do, or I put my bare feet on the ground. I walk in the woods.
Right, and at your house it's perfect because you can walk in the woods and put your feet in the stream and pick up the rocks and find a new crystal and have it talk to you.
I can go at any point and pick up a big chunk. You should see, Cammy. We went for a walk the other day. We brought back piles of smoky quartz. There's something about my house. There's smoky quartz everywhere.
Yes.
We brought back piles of it.
Huge.
Nice. It feels so good. And, I lay them around the house. I have them on the windowsills. And that's what relaxes me.
That is what's...
Find rocks. It sounds silly, but it really just, everything just goes away. And I'm just like, oh, look at that shiny rock. Like,
I was never so relaxed as at Caronland with the rocks. They talk to you in the forest. They look at the shiny rocks. Pick me, pick me. They do it in my backyard in the city, but nothing like they do it in the stream in the forest with the sunlight, spattering and hitting the different facets of the crystals. And it's magic. And that's really what it's all about, is that magic there. And so if you want to let things go, you do that. Or Karen, when I'm in the bathtub with my candlelight, that's what I'm dreaming of. That's my eyes are closed. I'm in the forest with my feet in the stream.
Exactly. And sometimes if it's cold and you can't put your feet on the ground, I started putting my hands on trees.
Oh, nice.
I felt the same effect. And it was so cool too, because how, Cammy, I started taking those classes, right, from this woman about crystals, and she's not a flat earther. She doesn't, she's not into all that, but she's very into crystals and the science behind crystals. And she was the first person that I ever heard suggest that. She was like, and if you're grounding, she's like, you can take your gloves off and put your hands on a tree. And I'm like, oh my God, I've never heard anybody else say that. Like, I thought I just did it. But it seems like a really obvious thing.
It's right. The energy is right with that. I'm stepping all over you, but the energy is so right with that, and holding a tree, and the energy that crystals have. And I wish I had, my ice maker is broken, but I wish I had even an ice cube to show you, like we played at your house, like what crystals can do with ice and with different.
I think it's going to
how
work.
they can collimate.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you now.
Yay! Thank you, Jason. He's letting me use his phone.
Guess we gotta get you a new
It's
phone.
working. You sound good.
Yeah. Okay, have fun.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Jason, says everybody. He saved the day. King Hero!
Yes.
So what are you guys talking about?
Well, we were talking about what we do to relieve stress or relax, or to, when you need to get alone and get away and feel like your head's going to explode. What do you do?
Oh, hell yeah. You know what I like to do if I'm alone? I like to sing at karaoke all of the songs that are very obnoxious, like Whitney Houston, and I do it very dramatically, and I look at my cats and I just look at their reaction, and sometimes I do it so much that they run away from me, and it's so funny.
I freaking love Rose. That's so.
Oh, Rose, that is outrageously good.
And now I just have this visualization of Rose with like a karaoke mic, and she's like, yelling at her cat, like singing at her cats.
That I love them. That I'll always love them.
And I know that
right?
Rose likes like heavy metal, so I just feel like I just picture Rose like run to the hills, like
Exactly. And I love singing dramatic songs just like that with lots of vibrato. And
I know, I
Jason
can
really
see
doesn't
it.
like it. Jason does not like it, the vibrato, and
Really?
he thinks that it needs to be tuned down.
No. It's energy. It's fun.
Well, I'm just
And you laugh
copying
and
Bruce
smile.
Dickinson. If you're singing Iron Maiden, I in my head, I know what my intention is. I have Dunning-Kruger with karaoke. It sounds like what I'm trying to sound like to me.
Nice.
So it's
Yeah,
good enough
singing-
for me.
Singing is so good for your nervous system. It really calms you down. You get your own vibration circulating through your body. There's something
Yes.
super magical about singing.
Yes,
Absolutely.
and absolutely. I think it's forced breathing for someone who has a hard time meditating.
Also true.
You know?
Wow, good. That's good.
So
That's a good
if
point.
you're having a hard time taking a deep breath and you're hyperventilating, even if it's a silly song from the 90s that I liked when I was a kid, if I just, how it just, like a jingle, it's programming. It's kind of like I'm using the programming against itself,
Nice.
Perhaps.
Yes. Yeah, and you cannot sing and be unhappy at the same time. Same as jumping on my trampoline. That's another big go-to in the morning. You literally
Good
cannot be.
point.
Yeah, you cannot be unhappy. I've got the firemen watching me from that side, and got neighbors on this side, and a dog on the other side. It's all really silly around here.
Trampolines are so fun. That's
They really are.
it's
That
the
does
best.
sound
I don't
fun.
have one, but I've had them before, and that's one of those things I wish I had. I don't have the space for one, but I really wish I had one. I actually sing. I put a record on and sing Carpenter songs to my cats. Like it's
That's awesome.
actually not as cool as the kind of music you sing, Rose, but yeah, Carpenter songs. For some reason, I don't know why. I have lots of other music to sing, to play, but that would be what I would sing. And that one, why do stars fall down from the sky every time you walk by? Just like me, they long to be close to you. So I'm kind of like singing close to you to my cats as if I'm in love with them, which I am.
Oh, yeah.
But
Exactly. It's the best thing to sing to your
Yes.
cats how much you love them.
and I think I sound just like Karen Carpenter while I'm singing. Of course, I don't, but yet I think I do. And
Right. So we have the same problem.
Yeah.
I mean, or we're lucky, because I'm satisfied with it. I'm okay with it.
I enjoy it, and they don't seem to mind.
Oh, my cats seem to mind.
Mine don't. They hang out.
That's why it's funny.
They look at me like this while I'm singing, as if they're a captive audience and they're my fans. It's like actually perfect.
Mine look concerned or they run away. So they'll come towards me
Yeah.
or away from me, but never sit still.
Yeah, my run is fast and far as they can. Beth, I was going to tell you, you might like this, but when Jaron was a little boy, we put a full-sized, huge trampoline in our living room. We have very, very high ceilings because around Christmas time, he was getting a trampoline, and it was cold outside, and I knew he would sneak out as a toddler and do anything to get a trampoline. I mean, he loved trampolines. He loved them. They were his bliss. But it was fabulous because I found like jumping on the trampoline, watching TV, playing Jeopardy to the trampoline, all kinds of exercise. I thought it was the best thing in the world to have an indoor. We finally moved it out. But that giant trampoline in our backyard was in our living room for like 3 months.
I love
That
it.
sounds like a great use of space. It reminds me of, what is that YouTuber, Jake Paul or Logan Paul, one of those two? They have, not that I'm a fan of them, of course, but they have a trampoline or a basketball court or whatever. They're because they're kind of like overgrown kids. in the living room of whatever expensive house they have something down in the main living room that would be like a, ping pong table, trampoline, just something, a pool, just something that really doesn't belong there. But in a way, why not?
We do that a lot. We switch out the ping pong table. We just took down, we're not, because we have to show it. But yeah, we were guilty of moving the fine furniture out of the way and putting in the trampoline or the ping pong table or something that's definitely fun. I remember like UPS and the people knocking at the door. You open the double door things and they're like, holy cow, you have a trampoline.
That is
Love
so
it.
cool. I would be
Love
like,
it.
you're my new best friend. That'd be great.
Nice. Hey, what do you guys think about mantra? I have actually sang mantra most of my life. I even have 4 CDs with all kinds of mantra music on it.
No
And
idea
then-
what it is. Maybe others don't know either. What is it? Tell us. You mentioned it earlier and I just didn't ask.
Yeah, mantra. It's the from India. You repeat a phrase over and over again. Om Purnam, Om Purnam. There's a million. Yeah, there's a million.
Patricia, you've heard of a mantra. You're just,
Yes.
Beth is saying it in a beautiful way. She's
I'm saying it wrong because I've always heard a mantra. M-A-S.
No, it's just an accent difference.
No, she's just booting the mantra. She's just booting it.
Totally know what that is then.
I thought a bit of
something I didn't know, and I'm like, I need to look that up.
I
a little
knew
bit of
you
a
knew.
Yeah, I'm a Sanskrit snob. It's mantra, but most people will say mantra.
All right.
So-
Well, now I know the real way to say it. So that's
Now I know the real way to say it. Thanks, Beth. A Tibetan Lama gave me a mantra, and I didn't even know it was a mantra. I said mantra.
There you go.
And he gave me the green Tara mantra, which is Om Tare Tutare Ture Svoha.
Nice. That's great. So, but some of the truthers think that it's bringing in the entities.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
something
Same as if
satanic
you
about
do
it.
yoga or,
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Yeah. What do you guys think?
I don't think so at all.
No, bunch of BS. Good, because I have 4 CDs.
Yeah, just like stretching yoga poses, that's like satanic. What?
I know, it's just moving your body. Babies do it, right?
Yeah, like exactly. So
Mhm.
no.
I think it's easy on all of this stuff. I think it's the intention of the person doing it. And
Yeah, and if you're just trying to be healthy, then you're protecting your body as the temple, and God wants us to keep our bodies healthy, and that's what you're doing. It's proven that these things work. Even allopathic doctors will say you should probably do yoga instead of taking a medication, but people don't want to. People would rather take a medication than do yoga.
Yeah, people are very lazy. They don't want to put in the work.
Right. Very true.
Truly.
Yep, I'm one of them. I need to work on that every day. Trying to.
You know,
I am in control
I was
of
like
my
that for a
destiny.
long time, and I had to change, and I had to work out. I had to start working out because I just, just a couple of years ago, I got to the point where I was like, looked in the mirror and I looked at my body and I was like, what am I doing? Like, I don't go out anymore, because of my divorce and everything. I was like, I was like, you know what? I can't allow myself to be like this. And so I started working out. And it sucked. It was hard to get motivated. I forced myself to do it. I was grunting. I was sweating in the beginning. It was not very pleasant, but it got better and better, and it got to the point where I looked forward to working out, and to the point where it became where if I didn't work out, I started to feel like, oh man, I really need to go out and do something. And, then just by becoming more active, it raises your metabolism. And then I just started changing my eating habits. I cut out sugar, blah, blah, blah. And all that stuff made me feel like amazing.
So good. So good.
And it's just.
Yeah. And once you get started, it's a domino effect. Just like once you stop doing these things, it gets really easy to keep not doing it. But once you start noticing that what you do makes a difference, it's like, oh, what else can I do more and more? What else can I start adding to my salads? How do I get distilled instead of reverse osmosis? Or how do I get ready for my day earlier and wake up with the sun? And it's just one thing on top of another, and then you just get obnoxiously healthy and it feels so good. But then what do you do when something crazy happens in your life? That's the moment when you need to have that real fortitude, dude.
Right. Like a rock, actually, that the foundation for how you're going to live your life, regardless of whether or not you're in a lockdown or whatever other stupid things the governments do to us.
Mm-hmm.
You still need to love yourself and treat yourself with that kind of kindness that you would treat someone else with.
Mm-hmm. It's so basic physical movement and cardio and stretching. It's really easy not to do it because it seems like, well, why does that equal feeling like $1 million? It shouldn't be
Right.
that simple.
And people want instant gratification. They're like, I want this yoga pose to make me feel high. And you're not going to get that.
No.
It
You
really
have to
is
work
about
up to
like
that.
long-term, how you live your life.
Yeah, sometimes that yoga doesn't feel good until you stop.
Right.
Although I think it should, because that's one of the ways that I think I got sick was pushing myself and doing yoga that was always just stressing my body out. It would have been great if I was a bodybuilder in perfect health, but I think that nickel and dimed me.
That's true. That's another thing actually that I learned over the past year working out is that not every time you work out doesn't have to be a hardcore workout. If you wake up and you feel like you only want to do like a Pilates or something lighter and you don't want to do that HIIT workout or you don't want to do that, that ab crunch, you know what I mean? That military drill school, because sometimes it does feel good to do that. And, and you wake up and you're like, yes, I just want to sweat. I just want to do it, and so I will. But then there's other days where it's like, I do a much lighter workout. It's like, well, I don't really feel like totally pushing myself. Or if your body's sore from the day before, you don't want to keep piling on top of that. It's okay to scale it back and do a lighter workout, do something that's just stretching, or like I said, like Pilates, or something that's not so stressful, but still, works your body a little bit, and that was something that helped me actually stay consistent with my workout, because actually the channel I started watching, if anybody's interested, I started watching this channel Fitness Blender, and I really loved the girl who did it because she was like, because she said all that. She was like, just listen to your body. If you don't want to do a heavy workout, don't do it. We have, 10-minute workouts that are just, light cardio. Or so sometimes it would just be like a 10 or 15-minute workout if I didn't feel like doing a whole thing. As long as you do something, because then even if you just do that little bit, you still have that satisfaction of knowing that you did something, and you still have that sense of accomplishment, and it helps you to keep going and stay consistent with it, because it's okay to take that lighter day. And then if you do that, then okay, well, I did a lighter day yesterday, and then it almost helps you to feel more motivated to do that heavier workout on a day when you feel like you can do it. At least that's what I noticed. I think a lot of this that's key to your health is listening to your body, really paying attention to how it reacts when you change something or when you do something or when you eat something, and it's so easy to ignore that. I feel like I ignored it for a long time. And then once I started paying attention to it and started listening to my cravings or to what made me feel tired or what made me feel good, then it was easier for me to make a conscious decision to keep, stay on that path or on that diet, because I was noticing the effects and I was noticing that it felt good and it made me want to keep doing it.
Yeah, Karen, that the small goals like that, as long as I tell myself it's only 15 minutes and I don't use the word exercise, it's just movement of some kind. Even if I roll around on the floor like a worm or jump on my trampoline or something, I can trick myself into having it be an inviting thing that I want to do. And I often will go longer than 15, but as long as I know I only have to go 15, I can make myself do it.
Yeah. Or just like going for a walk outside instead of a normal workout to a video or something like that. Mix it up.
Exactly. Yeah, it's got to have variety for me or I won't do it.
Yeah, me too. And it's better for your body too, to change the way you work stuff out, because your body gets used to certain movements, and you can't just lift weights. It's good to do the actual movement that your body was meant to do, because that's called plyometrics. It's like when you actually use your body for physical movement, that's an even faster way to like build muscle and strength and all that stuff.
Like somebody who chops a lot of wood, they'll have a really good upper body, because they're actually not just lifting a weight in the gym, they're actually doing a thing that your body's sort of meant to do.
Right. But another aspect to that is having good form. You know, it's like that was another thing that this woman
Yeah.
taught me was having good form. Because like if you're just flopping around, like she's saying, like you're flopping around, like sometimes that's good, but it's like if you don't have good form and you don't have focused movement, if you're doing this 100 times, you know, it's not going to mean anything than if you actually focus on it and you have good form and you go, you know, and you do it the right way, or you do it in a focused way, or you have a weight. You know, if you think about what you're doing, even if you think about the motion your body's doing, that even seems to make the workout work better. Does that make sense? If you actually think about what you're doing, if you think about the body, the motion your body's doing, if you're watching yourself, if you're able to set up a mirror and look at your form, and it makes you hold your shoulders back. I mean, to me, this is the stuff that helps me out. So I'm just throwing it out there. It's just information. Do with it what you will.
It's because you're adding awareness, right? There's nothing worse than being a robot like that. That it just feels terrible, and there's nothing inviting about it. So, being aware of your form, that's going to add a lot of consciousness to the process, and that's the real magic part.
Right, and then you're still like working your brain. Like when you lead with an alternate side, like you know, if every time you do a repetition, like one time you start with your left foot, and the next time you start with your right, and you alternate it. You know, and if you think about that, then you're still keeping your mind engaged in the process, and you're working yourself mentally as well as physically, and you're keeping that connection going. And to me, this is all stuff that is, I don't know, I just noticed it. It was a great help for me and how I felt and how I was able to function just day to day. Energy levels, all that stuff.
Yeah, we're so divorced from our bodies, mostly living here up in the thoughts. And the gift is embodiment. That's why we did this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So. Yeah, the problem is that most of everybody's body doesn't feel good.
And I also want to say that, you know, taking care of yourself, especially when you're, you know, going into your 40s and 50s and stuff, is really going to make a difference in how your body ages. And distilled water is a huge part of, you know, getting these toxins out of your body that would otherwise cramp up your joints and muscles. And, you know, the fluoride in our bones, that's cumulative. So if you're still living in an area, say you lived in an area all your life for 50 years, you've been drinking tap water, cooking with it, showering in it, brushing your teeth with it. So you have 50 years of fluoride accumulated up in your bones. Your bones are starting to become brittle. So you're going to want to, you know, all these things equate to people not being educated on the toxins that are around them and oblivious. And these people suffer more when they get into their 50s, 60s, and 70s because of the toxicity they allowed themselves to live in because of ignorance. And so I think it's really important moving into, you know, because I'm 50 now, and it's more important now more than ever, even though I've been in this type of mindset and lifestyle to take care of my body and not feed it poisons, and to avoid poison as often as I can, and doing everything I can to be conscious of what I'm putting in my body, because that's where it all starts. It starts with what we stick inside our body, is how our body's going to grow, develop, and age down the line. And some things that you eat will bring on aging quicker. There's a lot to do with that, with aging accelerants.
Dr. Lena talks about how people. Oh, sorry, Jen. I was going to say, Dr. Lena talks about how people build up 7 kilograms of toxins in a lifetime.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading about in San Francisco, there's a trial underway that can remove fluoride from drinking water. So hopefully that'll be one piece of good news involving the government in a time when there's absolutely zero good news. That would be great. So we'll have to keep our eye on that.
Hey, Jen, can you talk about why distilled water over something like spring water?
Well, distilled water is the method they use to get it that way. It's pure H2O. There's nothing attached to the water molecules. So when you drink it, it's going into your body pure, and it's going to pull out any extra added minerals and toxins that are in your body, because they will now be able to attach to the water molecule. Whereas opposed to, say, if you were drinking spring water, if there's any minerals involved in that spring water, those things are going to deposit through your body. Otherwise, that would be a foreign object to your body, because your body already gets its minerals and everything like that naturally through the vegetables that you eat and whatnot. So adding these minerals in is not a good thing, even though they package it up on the bottles like mineral water or mineral salt stuff. You want pure H, so that water pull out toxins. So when you urinate, you're urinating out most toxins that would normally stay deposited to the body. And now your body's trying to figure out what to do with these toxins because they don't belong there. And so that really helps with the cleansing process, especially if you're doing turpentine thing and all that other stuff. I mean, that's all I use is distilled water. Even your coffee maker, most people don't realize it, but your coffee maker is a distiller because it heats up the water, it evaporates up, and then percolates, down through the filter.
And we're a distiller as well.
Distilled water.
We're distillers as well, our bodies. But maybe nobody wants to go to urine therapy as our next subject. But that would be.
Actually, that's true. When urine comes out of the body.
I've been looking into it. I haven't done.
Urine is sterile.
Yeah, I did urine therapy to recover from cancer, actually.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's one of those things that I talked about, and not that I was a trailblazer, because people were talking about it before me, but in 2015 and 2016, and man, the haters came out of the closet, calling me PP Patty. But look, you used it for cancer recovery. It is a valid thing, and they would always make jokes that we're all sitting around drinking each other's urine. It doesn't work like that. But they would never do the research. They would just make fun. And the thing is that for some people, they think it's gross. Well, that's fine. They can just not do it. And that's totally great, because it's just like some people like asparagus and some people don't. Some people like beets, some people don't. I'm not going to be mad at somebody who doesn't like something that I don't like. That's just awesome that you don't like it. And it's awesome that I like it. It's so weird how some people are really afraid of their own body and afraid of anybody talking about something that challenges their point of view. I get it. Like I said, that people don't like it. Okay. But when you actively go out of your way to put people down who are looking into something to help them deal with cancer like you, or just to help themselves feel better, then there's something wrong with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think people that are like grossed out about it, or that also just need to maybe look into amniotic fluid, what it is.
Exactly. We were swimming in it.
We were all swimming in it. In our that's what amniotic fluid is the baby's urine makes up the fluid that fills it, and it's a sterile fluid that cushions and offers a lot of benefits that I don't think that we're even beginning to understand right now. So why the idea of drinking it really disgusts the living shit out of me, and I couldn't do it again unless I was in a situation where, if you're fighting cancer or that, again, all of a sudden, when you look at things, they can change really rapidly when you're in a situation. So I can be kind of childish and say, ooh, yuck.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody who does it says, yum, can't wait, yay. But it's one of those things that, just like a person taking a Tylenol or something else that you don't want to do, or even doing like turpentine or whatever the case it may be, or gargling with salt water if your throat is sore. No one wants to do that. You just want to go through life feeling great. But if you get to feeling bad enough, you will try anything. And that is one of those things that is basically free. And
exactly.
There's so many people who tried it that are fine. Nobody's died of it. And getting back to the distilled water thing, the powers that should not be try to frighten us about distilled water. And if you look it up, it'll just say, oh, it'll leach all the minerals out of your body.
Exactly.
Well, if you're eating a diet that's rich in plants where the minerals are coming in through the roots and getting in the plant, you're not going to have to worry about that. It's just not, it doesn't work like that. And I don't know why those people who make reports about that it will, leach all the minerals out of your body, I don't know why they say it, why they do it. And plants are distilling things. I mean, it's just the way this world works. I guess that they're so removed from nature that they fear any sort of
rain.
Yeah, rain is distilled water. Well,
exactly. Well, through chemtrails.
Right.
Plus chemtrails. Yeah. But see, they tell you what distilled water does. It'll leach out the minerals in your body, but they spin it like that's a bad thing. No, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't want a
you
lot of
definitely
lead
don't
in
want
my
to. You know how
body.
many people
I
out
mean,
there buy this water with mineral?
There's a lot of things that get in our bodies we don't want in our bodies.
Yeah. Well, it's a video. Yeah. There was a lady who had a distiller hooked up to her house, and she went down to change her filter. She videoed it, and what came out of her filter was this really hard. It was dense and hard, but it was also, when it broke, it was kind of brittle, like you would think like of like volcanic ash kind of stuff.
Wow.
That if that got in your lungs, it would, make your lungs and everything. These are the types of things that the textures of stuff that was coming off of her distiller in her filter. And that would have been left over in her body had she drank it, deposited out through her bones and her joints. People get gout. They get arthritis is more due to fluoride exposure than anything else they're trying to tell you. I'm not saying if you don't overwork your right hand because you shift and you drive a truck for 25 years that you won't have more pain in this hand than this hand. Yes, but the aging process is completely thrown off because we've fluoridated ourselves all our lives. If we were completely pure and natural in the way we were meant to be, our whole aging process would be completely different. And it would probably take a lot longer because we'd be living longer and we'd be healthier. They've dumbed us down. They've make us slow, sick, and dying through all the poisons that they surround us with, including our clothes and, our bedding even, and all that stuff. Like we're, aging quicker, more rapidly, and it's a healthy type of aging either. And it's really sad to see America, even across the plane, but mostly here in America, what people look like now, from eating crap all their lives and then moving into their 50s and 70s, carrying those bad habits with them along the way. You'll see the odd one here and there of an older person who's got their shit together and figured out, I need to get healthy. Thank God my mom's one of those people, because she was overweight. She had blood pressure problems. She had to have knee replacement because of the weight and everything. And now she looks like a completely different person at 70. So it's never too late for anybody to actually shift gears and realize, hey, I need to change something. And like Karen said, start small. Start with something that you drink, or take the sugar out of, if people drink soda all the time, stop drinking soda all the time. Incorporate distilled water. And distilled water doesn't taste any different than anything else. It's like, it's just pure H2O. I don't understand how people be like, oh, I don't taste weird to me distilled. They're letting the word distilled get in their head. It's just a process they use to make it pure. That's it. So
Jen,
steam,
there's that.
Actually, steam.
What it is with the distilled water and people associating the test is they're thinking about this stuff in the plastic jugs, because it will distilled water more than any other water will leach the stuff out of the plastics. And so people drinking distilled water that's been stored in the like milk carton type of things, plastic things, it tastes horrible. I mean, so I think most people associate the taste of distilled with the plastic, and that's not what it is. That's not what it tastes like.
So don't buy that at the grocery
Don't buy
store.
that. You can't.
Or
Yeah.
the fluoridated baby water.
Oh, that makes me sick. The nursery water makes me ill.
Oh yeah,
Nursery water.
It killed me when I saw that.
Mm-hmm. It made me cry when I.
But
I
I've noticed now they've taken it out.
Have they?
Have they?
Yeah, they know exactly what they're doing.
I've always known they know exactly what they're doing, but I'm surprised they took it out or got the things. On the fun news and on good news in Colorado, they tried to sneak through another mandatory vaccine bill, and they did it without any fanfare. They had a secret meeting basically on a last Sunday afternoon, and tried to get it passed, and enough people caught on to it and showed up. But they literally tried to, they had a council meeting on a Sunday afternoon to pass the mandatory vaccines. And again, it didn't work. So they did not pass in Colorado, thank God. We have a lot of people in Colorado against it.
Good. You're lucky. It's been pretty free here in Houston, Texas, as it goes compared to some other states. But I was noticing the past 5 days, I just, Google or whatever the news, like coronavirus Houston, and then I'll just put coronavirus and then just read the top stories. Not that I'm believing the news. I just want to know what they're trying to pull over on us. So I
Mhm.
keep abreast of what's happening. So when I got to coronavirus Houston, they were saying that they might have to do another lockdown, that there's more coronavirus now in Houston than any other state, and it's growing super fast, and more hospitalizations, and we need to do more testing. And I'm looking around like,
Where?
no one I know is sick still. Nobody even knows somebody who knows somebody that's sick, except
These
for
test sites are still empty.
yeah, well,
all the test sites are still.
I went to one that was empty, but a friend of mine went several days later, and they said there was like maybe 30 cars in line. But a test site only means that people have decided through the power of the media brainwashing they need to get tested. I saw a billboard 2 days ago that said "Get tested," and I'm like, wow, why? I
Exactly.
don't see
Why?
sick people around me. Even I don't see people even having colds now. It almost seems as if colds are down. Like to me, this this COVID thing, I used to say it's just the flu, not like it's just the flu, brah, but no, it's just the flu. But I actually think it's just a cold. And it can kill you if you're 95 with several different conditions and you're weak. You've had a heart attack, you've had cancer, you're 95, you're not in the happiest mental state, several what they call comorbidities. You could die, yeah, but a regular healthy person who gets a cold, yeah, it's not going to be fun for a couple days, but you'll be fine.
I met
But
an amazing.
I used to think coronavirus was real, by the way. I mean, I know there is such a thing as coronavirus, supposedly, but back when this first started happening in Wuhan, I think I started reading about it in late December. Maybe it was early January. And then January, February, even into March, I was like, this is real. And then it started being exhibited in the United States, what they're doing about it. And that's how I found out that it was fake, simply looking around at the stupidity. The way that they would say, you don't need to wear a mask, masks don't work, or keep masks for first responders, or like, so as a person who was thinking it was real, I'm thinking, wait a minute. So how could it be don't wear masks, but doctors wear masks, keep masks for first responders? Why? Like, the whole thing made no sense. And then as it unfolded, it was so easy to see that I only thought it was real because I started watching it so early when no one else was. No one was making videos. I didn't make videos. And it was only in Wuhan, and there was sketchy information coming out. And so I thought, oh, this is a real thing that's maybe going to come here and be pretty bad. So I'm going to stock up on food and supplies and stuff. And I did. I put myself into a little level of a fear state. But then when it started, being then when people started talking about it being here, then the media jumped on it, and it was, corona. And then I realized how much of a fool I'd been. However, maybe I'm a fool, but I certainly had lots of toilet paper and all the other food supplies way, way early. And when Karen, I remember you posting that you couldn't find toilet paper early on. And I was like looking at my closet, not that I was hoarding it, because I just knew that you need to get a bunch of supplies in because this is a real thing. And maybe around January and February, I just stocked up on canned goods, like full on everything. And I'm happy I did it, even if I was a fool and wrong about the reality of Corona, because I do think that it is necessary right now to have a pantry full of lots of stuff for yourself and your family. And, like Karen did a video about canning. You should look into that, or, gardening, growing stuff. All these things are super important. And I think that many of us prior to this, maybe not in the truth community, but just regular people, would just go out and get your groceries that day for tonight. And you wouldn't probably be able to live past 3 days, a half-eaten box of cereal, some stale bread. You didn't have much, a couple rotting bananas. But now, I've got a war chest of, natural health stuff, which I always had anyway, but I've got a lot more, and lots of food and stuff. And I think that for that reason, I thank the people who've lied about Corona, because it's helped me become a more prepared person for myself and to help somebody else.
Yeah, that's great. I've done a little bit of that, maybe not as much as you. Although when I first heard about it and the whole thing in Wuhan, I heard it a little bit. I completely ignored it because I thought
you were
it was more
smart.
nonsense, like E. coli or Ebola or whatever. I was like, oh, this is nothing. Because it just was to me, it was the same as what we'd already seen before.
Zika, yeah.
Was I wrong? See, now you say, oh, maybe you were smart, but was I? Because they totally took this away.
Yeah, they're running with this and they're not letting go. I keep thinking it was going to go away, but they're taking this all the way. They have to now. They'll never say they were wrong about the numbers publicly. They'll never say any of that. They have to say things like Houston's got more numbers. It's very dangerous. They've got to do that. They've got to do it. And I guess their end goal, of course, is total and ultimate control over everyone. Although I thought they had that already because we've got our tracking cell phones, but they want even more control. And I think a vaccine, I mean, I don't even understand how anybody would even consider that's a possibility when they have never solved the common cold. And they say with this, which is essentially a cold, because it's not the flu, because I've not had the flu, but I don't think. But I think a flu involves like diarrhea and stomach upset, right? And this corona doesn't have that. So it's more like a bad cold. So have they solved the cold with a vaccine yet? No. So how are they going to solve this when they're going to make people be subjected to new vaccines for COVID every single year? Yes. And is it only about money? Is this only about money? Because they've got control of us and know where we are already with our tracking phones and our GPS and online purchases. What is their ultimate goal? To take away our humanity, maybe? The whole thing does eat up a lot of my mental time. And I probably need to do some rolling on the ground, wiggling like a worm, like you said.
I recommend
it. Yeah.
Now, am I the only girl in here? Or am I the only one that thinks that, like, maybe, I mean, I see it as a chemical weapon or as a plant thing going bad is what I see it as, is it was supposed to be more lethal. More people were supposed to die from it. And it was almost like a dead bomb, one that didn't go up or a mixture of it. That's really my feeling. And as far as the vaccines and why they would be pushing it, Patricia, is I think if you look into vaccine world and what they do with vaccines now and what they're you have to understand that if you can classify something as a vaccine, you can like bypass all of the pharmaceutical.
Yeah, you can put anything in there too.
You can put anything in there. You can be totally protected. You can be, and it can become mandatory. So it doesn't get any better than that. But I think if what you look at what they're doing with vaccines, they're working on how your receptors work and mixing drugs with this and calling this a vaccine. So they are literally for fertility. They can vaccinate for short-term fertility, 3 or 4 years, or they can do a permanent fertility birth control via vaccine. They can take all kinds of what they would call personality disorders, including religion. They've classified religious fanatics as a personality disorder. This is no joke. They have identified a gene that's present on the receptor line of people that are very, very religious and very passionate. Maybe they have a channel with God open or something spiritual, but they've found the receptors on this, and they can give vaccines, and they can vaccinate against that kind of behavior. So they
take away your passion and take
your passion. In other words, they can vaccinate. Yeah, and we were going to fall under the people with the receptors open and questioning. So what they're saying is they can vaccinate against the type of thinking that we're doing, the type of thoughts that are going in the receptors and whatever electrical energy is coming to do these thought waves with the universe. They can vaccinate against this.
They want us to become almost robots in a way.
Yes.
Our reactions and sterile in general. And also to, how they have those social distancing markers to line up like that. They want us to kind of line up like that without markers.
Like cattle.
They want
they're training us.
Zombify us into that sort of behavior. I was at a restaurant today eating lunch, and there was a guy. I was sitting, let's just say I'm sitting here, and somebody was sitting across from me, and we were talking, but behind him was another guy, a solo, and I saw him come in with his mask. Myself and the person I went with weren't wearing masks. The person I met to eat with said, "Oh, I've got masks in the car in case they make us." I said, "I'm not going in if they make us wear masks." Anyway, so they gave us they were behind the plexiglass screen, of course, when you go in to order your food. It was one of those quick serve places. And so, we got our food and they brought the food over wearing a mask. But you could see people in the kitchen coming out and they had their masks half on. None of it makes sense to somebody who's really thinking this is real, but they don't see that. And then the person I was with asked for salt and pepper because they don't put the salt and pepper on the table anymore because, it could get contaminated by coronavirus. And so the person came out and said, oh, sure, and brought the salt and pepper without like wearing a glove, like with a bare hand. So obviously that would undo any sort of coronavirus protection. And they gave us these numbers on a card so that we'd hang them on this stick on the table so server would know where to bring your food. Well, of course, we're holding this number and we're hanging it on the hook with our bare hand, and then the person's removing it. But when we sat down at the table originally, there was a sticker on the table that said, "This table is clean and sanitized." And it just made me sad. But while I was watching this guy behind the person I was dining with, he pulled his mask down to eat and he pulled out a bottle of hand sanitizer and was cleaning his hand sanitizer. And he had his mask like down to here, getting ready to get his food. And I just felt like crying for him because he's gone. His critical thinking is gone. He's all in on this. He thinks that he won't walk into the bathroom and wash his hands just for regular cleanliness before eating, because probably he's afraid of like touching anything in the bathroom, but he's putting toxic hand sanitizer on his hands and he's just living in fear, killing any sort of good stuff on his skin that would be protective. And I am kind of living in fear too about this on a certain level because I am worried about what they're going to do to us. But this guy's living in fear about something that's not even real. And I just felt sad for him, sad for the world, sad for myself. And yeah, I think sad is my current state about this whole thing.
So basically what you're saying is you need a bubble bath.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. No, you should be aware, and people will have a choice, but aware that where they're taking this can be very dark because, again, when they're talking about vaccinating the world and they're saying about COVID, against COVID or against this, that's if it was just COVID or if this was really what it was about, that would be one thing. But I really think your eyes should be open. That's not what this is about. And when they talk vaccines, they're not talking flu. They're talking about mental conditions and fertility and things that are so much deeper and more important.
They're going to use this COVID thing to go all in on everything they've ever wanted to do and things we can't even think of that they wanted to do to make this world inhospitable to man. And, I don't think it's to kill us all because they could easily just, blow up a city right now, fly a plane over and oopsie, drop a bomb and say it was terrorists. They might do that too. Hey, But,
no, they're doing it karmically, and they're doing it. They're doing it so they can spin it, and it can be right in their minds.
Right.
They're doing it that they're taking care of the world by playing God and making the decisions of who should live, die, and procreate. And again, it's as soon as you have a group of people or an individual playing God for the rest of us, there's an issue and people need to know they have a choice.
Well, look what Karen's put up, this North Carolina zoo picture. I'm going to let you comment on it, Karen, but just look at the parents exhibiting bad parenting skills by masking up their children like that. No oxygen getting into their sweet little young lungs, and they're just afraid and think that those pieces of cloth are going to protect themselves. It's just so psycho.
This is what when you were talking about it, this is what came to my mind because my mom's here in town visiting and I have these zoo passes and, my daughter loves to go to the zoo. And so she's like, what about going to the zoo? And I'm like, oh, I think they might be open again. But when we went to go to the website to see when they're opening, and this is what we saw. And I was like, I'm not going to the fucking zoo if I got to wear a mask.
Are they putting masks on the animals as well? I think they should let the animals go free. But
yeah,
should they put masks on the ground?
I totally disagree with the whole concept of zoos anyway.
Yeah.
My daughter likes to go see the animals, and I can't tell her no.
They were saying early on.
Circus. At least it's not a circus.
Yes.
Well taken care of. I'll give them that.
And it looks like beautiful greenery. But, they say dogs can transfer the stupid corona and cats too. So what about the hippopotamus in the zoo? Do they make him a nice little mask as well? It's just so much hypocrisy with this.
Just, and they're doing this at the farmer's market, just seeing people out in the open air with wide open spaces around them and they have masks on their face. This alone is making me insane. Like I can't.
It looks like a diaper too, for some reason. Like there's something about it that makes me, and also being a single woman who would like to meet a really wonderful man, I look around and I see all these men with masks and it's like, I don't need to now find out what you're all about. I know what you're all about and I'm not interested in you because I hate to use the word sheep because sheep are wonderful, but you're a sheep. So in a way, it's made it harder to meet somebody because there's almost no way now. But also, it's easier to see who you don't want to meet because they're wearing a mask. They don't know how to be free.
It's also easier, Patricia, for all of the surveillance to pick you up if you're not wearing a mask to see who doesn't, who doesn't follow, who isn't a good sheep, who has a problem with it, who has an issue. Sorry,
There's a song by a band called Mike and the Mechanics. I think it came out in the 90s. And the song is called Silent Running. And the song is about war and how the man's off to fight at the front. And he's telling his woman to, go underground in the house, go to the cellar. And one of the lines in the song is, teach the children quietly because someday sons and daughters will rise up like we couldn't. And it kind of reminds me of this scenario that there may come a time when you may have to mask up and tell your children to mask up in order to protect your own life, even if you don't believe in it, kind of like what you were saying, Cammie, because they've got surveillance on you and will take you out if you are one of the people who's like the rebels. So, and I don't want, of course, that life to be. And most of us very, bold truth seekers will be like, I'll never wear a mask. I'll never do it. But let's just say you've got a son and daughter who are 5 and 6 years old or however old those, young people were in that photo Karen just showed. I mean, so you'd allow your children to die because even if they believe this COVID thing isn't real, you're going to allow them to be targeted because they're not wearing a mask by those who would want to force this mask wearing thing. I mean, how do you, but then if you do that and let them wear a mask so they don't get targeted, then I guess you're going to have to vaccinate them too. And that's where I would definitely draw the line. I'm still never going to wear a mask in any building anywhere. But man,
you can say that on any building, but for instance, I picked up drugs for my sister-in-law that was sick at a pharmacy, and I love them enough that I donned the mask to get something for them.
That's an attitude. People have said that if you respect the business, you'll wear the mask. My thought process where I am now is I'm not, because it shows I'm going along with this lie, and I want there to be less people believing in the lie. And the more you look around as a citizen and see unmasked faces, you might think, well, why is that perfectly normal looking woman who's not like drooling and crazy looking? Why is she not wearing a mask? Maybe masks aren't necessary, and maybe somebody might think because of it. But I think we're beyond thinking now. I think our culture is so brainwashed. They've bought this hook, line, and sinker. That guy in the restaurant putting on his hand sanitizer alone at the table with his mask down around his neck, waiting for his food. It's just so sad.
Yeah, it is. Well, people are programmed to love the program, and they're programmed to fear, and without any question to the fear itself, it's critical thinking is out the window. The fact that they would mask themselves and then mask their children without ever even taking a split second, critically think out and realize that this is not a healthy thing to do. And the program telling you to do this to yourself and your children for the betterment of everybody is tricking you into basically smothering yourself all day and killing your kids. I hate to sound harsh about it, but basically that's what's going on here. And hypoxia, one of the symptoms is poor judgment. So this is clearly poor judgment all the way around. It doesn't take brain rocket science or whatever you want to call it to figure out that wearing something like this all day long and putting it on your kids who have smaller lung capacities than us, and they're running around and playing and doing stuff, and they're naturally always running around, they're damaging their lungs at such a young age. There's going to be health problems because of this down the road, because this has gone on for so long, and people's bodies are now starting to probably start feeling the effects of it. I can't see how they couldn't.
I love that comment in the chat right now. Hand sanitizer sauce, finger licking good. I always refuse it. I say I'm allergic. I just like, sorry,
Yeah.
nope.
I went into a building and they said, you'll have to wear a mask. And I said, okay. But I wasn't going to wear one. I just said, okay, to the woman behind the thing. And they said, we want you to use some hand sanitizer before you come in. And it was right there, this big pumpy thing. And I thought, okay, what about the top of the hand sanitizer where you push? Not that I'm afraid, but if you think this is real, why would you think that that's good? So I said, okay. And I went to look like I was going to do it. And I kind of covered my hand and then pretended I pumped and then went like this with nothing just to, and then I went and sat down and then they called me in and I didn't wear a mask. So it's just having to trick people. I mean, is this my life now?
Yeah, it's not Bell. Can I tell a quick story about a woman I met today when I go out?
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah. When I go out, I always, I know I'm going to run into somebody and have some kind of conflict. So I'm telling myself, okay, Beth, this one's just for self-care and just for feeling good and putting my feet on the ground. And I managed to avoid everybody. But then I came to this garden area that's really beautiful, amazing in my area. And there was nobody around, which was strange because it's a beautiful day. But I see one elderly woman and she's moving real slow and one step at a time. And I could see she's lifting a board off something. And it took 5 minutes to lift the board and turn the board over. And I just went, oh, hello, excuse me. And I inserted myself in her little garden there. We ended up talking for about half an hour. And she's 90 years old and eats clove of garlic. All she has in her garden was onions and garlic. And she says she eats garlic every single morning, has zero hypertension, has never taken a flu shot, never gets a cold, never gets the flu, and just has this beautiful energy about her. It was so inspiring. I actually wanted to weep as we were talking. There was something just so deep. She says, I come here for my health. I come here to be in my garden. That's good for my health. Just so it's just so simple. It's so easy. And these are the people that unfortunately are dropping like flies because we stick them alone in some hospital. To this day, people still have to die without their loved ones here.
From this corona.
Outrageous.
Cold.
I know.
Oh
yeah.
Man,
that's
and
just
also there's people locked whose family have put them into a nursing home because they have some kinds of conditions the family couldn't handle. I don't think that's the greatest thing, but okay. So if you've done that and you found a nice nursing home and you go visit regularly, great. Well, there's people who haven't been able to visit with their family for 6-7 months. Mm-hmm. And what does that do to somebody?
I know, it's tragic. They made them break up their prayer group.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, hideous, severe abuse, right? That's the only thing these people have to live for is that connection and communion, right?
Yeah, there's people who play card games downstairs at the retirement community every Sunday night or something, or eat downstairs and eat communally. Somebody whose husband is dead or their wife is dead. Maybe there's a budding romance and they're 85. Hey, go for it. I mean, that's been taken away from these people, and it's the cold-hearted individuals who are enforcing these rules for rules' sake. That's the thing. These order followers, that stand over here, stand apart, do this, walk over to that table, to all these rules that people have to go through just to get a coffee in a Starbucks or something, which is ridiculous. It's just stupid and also costing these companies money. And with the older people in the retirement, it's costing them more than just money and time. It's costing them the last vital human connections they may have in their life before they die.
Yeah.
I don't know, Patricia, actually, that it's costing these companies so much money.
Well, they're probably getting paid.
Aren't they getting COVID money?
Yeah, maybe they are.
They
I
are.
mean, okay,
They
so
are.
let's say a Starbucks. Are they getting government money to buy those stickers for the floor and those plexiglass dividers? Or does the
That's what
company pay for them?
I thought all these companies were getting extra COVID money.
I don't know. Maybe.
The
That's even
bailouts.
more disgusting. It's all disgusting.
Mhm.
It is all disgusting.
It makes me angry and sad. And then it really goes to sad because I'm not really an angry person. And I just think about young people too. You know, I'm talking about the older people, but you know, like Cammy, your son Jaron. I mean, he's at that time in his life where he should just be, you know, going out with his friends, or even, you know, like if he's not into that, staying home, but chilling out or going, just doing what boys do.
Mhm.
And wearing a mask isn't part of that. It's not part. That wasn't part of my teenage years. You know.
The children of this, I mean, because the graduations were canceled,
Mhm.
they were, I'm sorry, we had how many of them, like the little car parades that go and honk their horns and say, you know, in front of the graduates' houses, but it's not the same.
Not
They
the
didn't
same.
have graduation. They didn't have prom. They didn't
No
have.
prom. Come on,
No,
that's not
oh,
right.
I know. I didn't do. I don't. Jaron wouldn't have done prom anyway, or the dances, but still, more than anything, I mean, for him, they canceled his robotics competitions. I mean, he's definitely in the group where they build those little robot things that go city to city, and the little robots shoot baskets. And I don't know if you've ever seen it, but they shoot baskets into different targets and that, and they compete worldwide. These high school kids. And they get to travel to different cities and do it in different. And that it's very exciting. But you know, they spend the whole beginning of the year making the robots and getting everything ready for the competitions, and they got everything all ready. And they did one competition, and then it was, you know, closed out for the next one. It was crazy. So again, a lot of dreams, things that when you're young and it's so important, you put the energy in. A lot of, you know, dreams are dashed and fun.
Well, what about people
meaninglessly
planning on getting married? You know, they bought the dress, and you know, they could still get married, but maybe you can only have 5 people there. I mean, or all these other, you know, vacations people were planning on going to. Yeah, you can still fly and you can still go places, you can still get married, but everything's going to have the taint of corona. The person marrying you might be wearing a mask. It's just, you know, all of this, you know, like maybe a nice white bridal lace mask for the lady, you know, just
oh my God.
Concept, you know, it's just how life is just something completely different. I feel like I've awakened in a whole different weird world, and it won't stop either. I keep thinking it's going to stop, it's going to go away, it's going to fade out, and all I see is that nope, they're ramping it up, and maybe not lockdowns per se, but telling us that this is just going to be the way life is going to be from now on. And every year we'll have the flu season and the cold season and the COVID season will be back. Just letting us know that everything's different now. Everything's changed. And hey,
well, also, I want to mention.
Go ahead.
The children are being indoctrinated right into. There's going to be a whole generation of kids that this is their normal life, and I think that's what they want.
Yes.
They want this next generation that's coming up to already be activated to this mindset of fearing even human contact, and then the whole 6 feet apart everywhere, 666 everywhere you go, over the place. I feel like, you know, loose of the hand everywhere. The crown, the corona, the crown goes on his head, and he is the Antichrist. He wants to be like the Most High, the King, and everything. So I think it's all interesting that all these words are playing into all this. Even the whole flat Earth thing right before the whole corona happened, it was, and you got flatten the curve. They start using that, and then it's wear a mask, and then it's I can't breathe, and you know what I mean. It's just like they know exactly what they're doing. They're spell casting upon their word magic, tell lies to your media magic. And the generation now is these young, even like in kindergarten, this is the norm. Wearing a mask is going to be like second nature, or whatever comes down the pike within the next few years. They're just growing up right in it, and it's sad.
Then we've got this annual solar eclipse coming up, I believe the 21st. The solstice ring of fire thing that's supposed to happen. But then there's a lot of people in the truth-seeking community that are saying that due to the fact that the powers that should not be pretty much do everything by the sky clock through astrology, etc., that there's going to be something involving that. So something not good that will be the next step to all of this. And of course, that's just, why can't we think it's going to be something amazing? I hope it's going to be something amazing. But the talk on the streets of YouTube is that it bodes no good. So
it's an annular solar?
Yeah, it's called a solstice, like the Ring of Fire eclipse. Eclipse.
Yeah, that's what an annular eclipse. It's supposed to be
annular.
a bit farther away, and so
annual. You know what I'm saying?
ring of the sun around.
Yeah, like the diamond ring or whatever people call it.
Yeah.
We saw that. That's pretty spectacular. It's not visible in the Americas, by the way. It's or in North America for sure, Karen. So we can't watch it. But the fact that it is happening on the solstice is, I don't know.
It portends something.
It portends something. But again, looking through and re-looking at everything, Patricia, I know that one of the things that I've really been on is how many words and how many things do not mean what I thought they meant. Like, for instance, the comets, you thought that they were harbingers of death and doom. And in reality, the comets came and saved people from the plague. In other words, they came to cleanse the plague. They didn't actually cause the plague. They're associated with it and doom. But turns out in history, they were there to, again, wipe it out. And so it's a whole little different thing. So you wonder with the solstice and the different harbingers or what they're talking about, portending something. It's not always what we think it is.
So maybe it'll be something amazing. Maybe we should.
It could be something very, in fact, we
can't wait for that eclipse. It's going to wipe away all these bad people that are trying to hurt us, and no more Corona lie. And
wouldn't that be nice?
Yes.
Well, that's where
bring truth.
Yeah, your intentions come into play with all this stuff. And they have us they want us to fear it. Oh, look, the comet came, the plague hit. It's all because of the comet. Holding that type of headspace is, keeping the fear going upon this supposed harbinger of good news or bad news. But they, of course, have to steer it towards fear. And I've never even associated it with anything good. Like you just said, it blew my mind away, but I could totally see them using that information to steer it for a negative and bring forth that type of intention of fear and then propagate whatever goes forth after that Corona, Spanish flu, whatever the hell it might be, or what it was in the past even.
They're also saying that that it really wasn't 2012 and 2012, that now is 2012, and that is the Mayan calendar's end of the world now. So just a little more fear piled up on our sandwich of fear that we've already been forced to eat, that we're already joking on. Hey, Beth, you said you had to go. I saw that there was a comment in our little side private chat that you have to pick up your child. So.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So my apologies. I probably will beg out a little bit early tonight, but it's been absolutely lovely to be with you guys. Also, I'm losing my light, so it's going to get really creepy around here.
Kind of like I'm doing.
Set up with the trees and the bushes. I'm not sure, and the flowers. It was very pleasant to look at.
Okay, well,
good.
Beth, before you go, do you want to talk about your channel? All the links to everybody's channel is in the description. But Beth, go ahead and talk about the stuff that you work on in your channel.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Karen. Yeah, so for the most part, I'm doing the King Heroes Journey podcast at my channel, Beth Martins, which the link is there, as Karen just said. And I'm highlighting strong men who are out there often saying the unpopular thing and holding up the responsibility for a kingdom that is within this truth realm. So that's a really fun thing to do. I also jump on pretty regularly. Anytime I'm inspired, that I have a standard for myself. I won't go on regularly to do anything. It's just when I'm inspired. So some weeks you're going to see me come on every day, and some weeks you won't see me come on at all. But on the whole, I am a stand for people to follow their sacred purpose and to do the thing that they're being called to do, because if we all did that, this wouldn't be this crazy world we live in. So that's in a nutshell.
I just subscribed. So.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I actually saw a few subs come in during the time here. So thanks so much for hosting this time, Karen. I don't know who's hosting next time, but I certainly.
I was going to ask, do you want to host next time, Beth? We can do it next.
Sure. I would love that. Great. I would totally love that. Yeah. You guys are amazing. I missed Rose a lot. So if you're still there, no doubt in the chat, then that was she's the instigator and to blame for all of this. So in a beautiful way. So thank you so much, you guys. Lots of love.
Thanks, Beth.
Bye, Beth.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, Beth. Love you.
Love you too. That's so sweet.
Yeah, it's terrible that Rosa's connection wasn't working tonight. I'm bummed. I thought we were going to be able to have all 6 of us here, but it didn't work out that way. So that's kind of a bummer. But maybe next time at Beth's, we can have all of us here and it'll be great. So going for just over 2 hours. Does everybody want to take turns talk about what you're working on, your channel, and that sort of thing?
I think
Jen?
that sounds great. Jen?
Yeah, sure. My channel's The True Secret 69. I have a show that I do regularly called The Ripple Effect. It's not set on any particular day. I just kind of go with the flow. If something inspires me, I'll do a show. So I like to have that freedom without nailing it down to one particular day. It works for me. I also have a backup channel, TTS 69. If you haven't subscribed, please make sure you do. I cover the truth. And the only thing that I've ever been focused on with my channel is just getting the truth out there, bouncing it off other people, see what they think, and trying to collaborate with people on figuring out what exactly is going on, because we've been lied to from birth. That, having all these new thoughts and original thoughts that we never had before really helps us further the pieces in our puzzle. And I think that's basically where my channel has evolved to at this point, where I'm live streaming all the time. I love making little videos. Don't get me wrong. That's always fun. But yeah, it's been fun going in and out of these rabbit holes. And I've gotten many subscribers along the way on different topics that I was focused on at different times and stuff. So I'm kind of like a hodgepodge of all different types of truth bombs. I drop knowledge and truth bombs everywhere I can. So that's about it.
I just subscribe to you too. So I'm just using your channel, Karen, to just subscribe to people.
Awesome. Tammy?
Well, let's see. I am not used to being on air a lot. That's why I keep on popping off a screen, because I feel like the headphones are squeezing my head. And so I pop over to the side. I'm undoing the headphones and doing it back again. But you can find me on Iron Realm Media on Friday afternoons. I also have a channel, Aisling717. You can see me in Glowbusters and in the chat. I think I will be joining them on the Glowbusters season finale this Sunday, because we will be talking about holograms, and that is one of my passions. My big passions are, and I've been quietly working in the background the last 5 years, is how this place works, how the realm works, the construct, what the ground map looks like, how the sky works, how it all relates to history, and that, no, I don't have all of the answers, but I have learned a lot, and I think I'm really close on a lot of them, including the ground map. My hopes are, once that we are moved, to start posting videos up on my channel and going through. I think Karen and some of the people here have sat with me and done the ideas, and they've given me a lot of support and energy on it, with the construct, the energy, electromagnetic field, and basically a holographic sky, but a very real universe. And so hopefully, again, once the move is done, I can get some effort into it and get the channel up and going, because there has been interest. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Patricia?
I have a channel that's really small, and I pretty much just ramble for like an hour or 2 hours about whatever I'm thinking about, and that's it. It's called Patricia Steer, and I've been doing videos on the COVID thing mostly, and that's it. And I only have 4 videos on my channel. So I was thinking the other day that right now I'm still going to focus on the topic of how the way that this thing is being manipulated and we're being manipulated. But the other day I was also thinking about maybe doing a show on how I think rocks are alive. So I might do something.
They are. I agree.
They are.
I think rocks are alive. So maybe we all agree, but maybe that's a whole different rabbit hole to go down. Just a very much different life than we've got, much slower, but just as valid. So
I can
Absolutely.
definitely give you valid on that. That's
Yeah.
very real.
Mhm.
So I might never do that show. But what I'm saying is that even if I'm talking about COVID now, I'm always thinking about things. I don't know if it's a unique perspective, but it's my perspective, and just talking about it, in a monologue sort of way.
Well, I think it's good because people can relate to that stuff and people like to listen to other people that they relate to. So
Yeah, I love listening to a podcast, like anybody's podcast that I like as a person. I literally could listen to somebody talking about how they've lost their teeth if I like them and there's something about them that is compelling to me. I like hearing other people's wisdom. I'm always in the truth community blown away by how smart people are, how bright people are, how much more they know than me. And I don't mean that as a putting myself down. I just mean I'm just blown away by the people that are in this community in a really good way.
I 100% agree. I never in my life have had so many interesting, intelligent, caring people who are just you could just at any point at any time have a meaningful conversation. If it's 5 minutes or 50 minutes, it doesn't even matter because the conversation's always going to mean something
Yes,
to everybody.
exactly.
No,
So different than the conversations and interactions I've had for most of my life. And I always felt there was something missing from just the people I would meet casually. But when you get involved in the truth community, even if you might not get along with everybody or like everybody or have an affinity for everybody, everybody has something of value to offer. All humans do, but most people who are in the matrix have been so silenced by the system that they don't have the ability anymore to have original thoughts. So you can't have those amazing conversations with them. They probably have the capability or used to before they lost their humanity. But within the truth community, people haven't lost their humanity. And so those are our people.
It doesn't ever fail to amaze how much talent and beautiful people there are. You're right, Patricia. It's what I've had to laugh because over the last 5 years, what we've lost in as far as financially, timeshare in Hawaii and things like that, we have gained so much more in friendship, in helping, in camaraderie, in just again talking. The people are so talented and fresh and make your mind sing. I mean, it's amazing.
That's a wonderful way to put it.
I absolutely agree. Listen, you guys, thanks for joining the panel and thanks for being here. We are at 2 hours and 15 minutes, so I'm gonna end it here. I think that's a good place to end it.
And it adds up to 33. So no,
does it really?
No, I just said that. No. It probably does.
Who knows? So I'm going to play a little exit song from our good friend Christian Knapp. And then everybody can post links in the chat, post links to your projects, channels, whatever you want to do. Everybody go into the description and sub these ladies so you can follow them and support them, and we can share their channels and get their channels built up. All right, you guys.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Love you guys.
Next time's best channel. Sounds good.
Yeah, Beth, in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you guys.
Peace.
Forced in
See when I muted.
First, I'm no longer being played. If this life should last forever, at least we are together. I know I'm not alone. We know it's not a blow. Anywhere, whenever, apart but still together. I know I'm not alone. We know it's not a globe, it's not a globe. I'm not alone. I'm not alone. We know it's not a globe, it's not alone. Alone. Not alone. I'm not alone. Not alone. Not alone. We know it's not alone. I'm not alone. I'm not alone. I'm not alone. We know it's not alone. I'm not alone. I'm not alone. I'm not alone. We know it's not